In more hacking news that may be of interest, 3.2 billion leaked passwords containing 1.5 million records with government emails are out there floating around. This comes from an analysis by Syhunt, an application security assessment firm that helps organizations guard both mobile and web applications. They published an analysis of what is the biggest known compilation of password leaks by a hacker on an internet forum. This 100 gig data set is called COMB21, compilation of many breaches. It was published in an online cybercrime forum on February 2nd. This data was compiled from multiple leaks in different companies and organizations over the years. And here's some of that data. 3.2 billion passwords linked to 2.18 billion unique email addresses were exposed in this data dump. This includes 1.5 million passwords associated with email addresses from government domains around the world, including 625,000 from the US alone. In addition, these numbers are crazy. The leak includes 1.5 million passwords. Let's see. So the United States is 625,000 government passwords. The UK 205,000. Australia 136,000. Brazil 68,000. Canada 50,000. And the top 10 U.S. government domains affected by this leak are the State Department, Veterans Affairs, Department of Homeland Security, NASA. Wow. NASA, the IRS, Center for Disease Control, Department of Justice, Social Security Administration, U.S. Postal Service, the EPA. So they're all over the place, right? And by the way, there were only a very small number of passwords in this leak related to the Chinese government and the Russian government. Big surprise. But for me, the most interesting takeaway, other than the massive amount of email information out there, is that what information you can get in a relatively short period of time by analyzing these leaks. Okay, so what they were able to do is that you could, looking at this data, they could see current and past passwords, which also shows what my patterns are as a user and how password reuse and changing password habits are shown. And what they found was, in many cases, between 3 and 30 passwords that were linked to a unique email. So Shelley Kramer, my email. And it could show whether I'm using the same password on domain, because, by the way, those domains are in the leak. So you don't have to look at that many to see, oh my God, here she is on 10 different domains using the exact same password. So you've got your password reusers clearly identified. Think about the danger this presents for your organization, especially if you're a government. And then it also showed password changing habits. So every time Fred changes his password, he takes the same password and he adds this character. What's the next character in that sequence? So we are right. So we are creatures of habit. Again, think about the danger that this poses to your organization. And then to tie this back to the threats to infrastructure that we were just talking about, the Oldsmar, Florida water facility that was attacked in February plays a role here. And this is, for those of you who might not remember or don't connect the name, this is the water treatment facility where lye levels were increased 100 times in an attempt to poison the water supply. This attack in Florida, it happened 3 days after this data was leaked online, and the credentials for the water plant were included in this email password leak. So that is a very big deal. And I just thought, these numbers are just so mind-blowing. And it's like, but what we can't let happen, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, what we can't let happen is we can't be so overwhelmed by the enormity of this that we just think, and I'll say this because you and I, we've done some research with both brands and consumers, not at all related to cybersecurity, but where consumers have told us that they feel so vulnerable and they feel like their privacy is not protected by brands, and they're very concerned about it. They're anxious about it. They don't know what to do about it at all. So I think, and so sometimes, again, I think we just tend to, whether we're a business or an individual, sometimes we get so overwhelmed by the enormity of the challenge ahead of us that we just are kind of frozen. We don't do anything. Well, we can't afford to not do anything about this,
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
absolutely not. It's interesting you mentioned the trust issue in there. We did a study with SAS last year that
Yeah,
revealed exactly that the
right.
consumers, a majority of consumers felt that they were giving up too much data, they were giving up too much control. Um, and at the same time, you had a majority of brands out there that were also saying, "Look, we recognize, one really big breach can destroy the trust that we have with our consumers out there." And yet we still get into the situation where, because it perhaps is profitable, it advances a new product launch or whatnot, we often see organizations moving ahead with a new implementation, a new program, a new technology, or a new market launch, a new website, without making sure that that is in fact really 100% secure.
Right.
They're willing to take a little bit of a risk there. So it's a big challenge, a huge challenge out there. But that's connection. I did not know that about the connection
Yeah.
back to the Florida water breach. That makes perfect sense there. You think about that. You go back to the 4 A's of cybersecurity. That's exactly these people accumulating, aggregating all this data together from
Right.
multiple websites. Analyzing it to find Shelley Kramer's pattern and passwords.
Right.
And then activating that data to hack into this facility.
Well, and targeting, as I said when we started this conversation, like we're going to touch on every single one of these things, whether it's the dangers of social, whether it's ransomware is a national security threat, it's the threat to infrastructure. It's like
Yeah.
so all of these things I think are really interesting.